All right. Hello, everyone. How are you doing? Let's play some beautiful AI generated music. Let's see how that's going to work. Let's pick this thing. Let's try something else. Okay. So hopefully this works as intended. I didn't change much, so hopefully you hear beautiful music coming out as well as my voice. So hey everyone, Eyal here. I am from Modalics, the plugin company. I'm also from various bands, projects, plugins, audio software, and various other places that you may have seen me on the web. So today I'm going to be working on our plugin EON-Arp. We got a big update coming out soon, and I'm going to be adding a few features now. Hopefully this will be fun and interactive, and hopefully I will not run into too many unexpected bugs. Yeah, so how's everyone doing? As everyone knows, I'm streaming this on different platforms like YouTube, Twitch, Twitter, Facebook, LinkedIn. So feel free to let me know if you have any questions. If you can hear my voice good, that'll be good. Hopefully it's not too soft. Oh, I never get this part exactly right. Maybe I can bring it up a little bit. Okay, all right. So let's explain what it is that we're doing here. I'm gonna load, let's bring the screen share setup happening. So I'm working on our plugin EON-Arp. I'll show this to you in a second. Let's mute the music for a second here. Okay, so this is EON-Arp. It's an arpeggiator. I'm just gonna play a few chords on my little MIDI keyboard. You can have all these different patterns, right? You can just freely draw patterns. Let's change the number of steps, and let's clear, try some other type of pattern. And you can't see my hand, but literally I'm just holding a chord. Let's make this pattern faster. So this is EON-Arp. It's pretty cool, and if you know the plugin, you already you see there's, or maybe you notice there's a few changes from the version that's released. Let's go through some of these features. One is we added the tune feature for the internal synthesizer. So that now, if I'm playing something, I can retune the synth. Right, that's just a minor feature that people have asked for, so that they can play slightly in different tuning and play 432 hertz or whatever. And the feature that feature was always here, but we just made it more public, is that you can just turn off the ARP and just play the synth. It's useful if you want to audition your input, or if you want to use the some of the built-in chords. So that feature was always there. It was just hidden behind a menu, so we made it made a really nice button, and we made it clear so that people can just bypass this. Something else that I worked on during the previous stream was add a really live bypass, so that if you're bypassing, I'm not in the plugin version, I'm just in the standalone version. But if I'd used the plugin version, I could do stuff like this. You see when I bypass, the notes come back. That was really fun to do, like a live bypass feature, which allows you to kind of bring your MIDI notes back whenever you're bypassing, as if you were bypassing audio. That was not a conventional feature to do, and a lot of fun. There's other features here that Or already worked on. Or Lubjaniker, he's my partner in Modalics. He is also the designer of this. Yeah, so the question is, from Do It, is there going to be a free update? Yes, this is going to be a free update. I will, once I get this finished, hopefully, today or tomorrow, and we test that everything works correctly, we'll have it released for everyone. So you'll just get the new features for free if you already have EON-Arp. Yeah, so this is going to be cool. There's going to be I'll talk about this a little bit. There's going to be a few other let's call it musical updates in this. Some of those I'll work on during the stream that have to do with these new features that show up here, like momentary. I'll talk about what this means in a second. Hold, all of those features that I'm just about to implement now, and stuff to do with this window that is the MIDI mapping. This thing is now on screen, but it's not functional yet. But there's going to be a MIDI mapping window for mapping pattern changes. It's something that people have asked for, so we're going to be adding that. Yeah, so EON-Arp is a very popular plugin, and we felt like it was time to give people new stuff in it. We're not going to charge anything for it. If you own it, you get it. We just feel like it would be a good, like we really like this plugin, and we hope that people will, will get into the new updates. And something else that I've had to do is I had to fix all these, some bugs that people have reported over time. So that's also important, like stability stuff that you might have not noticed, but now that it's going to work fine, hopefully you will never notice stuff like that. So yeah, so this is where we are with EON-Arp. And the feature I'm going to be doing now is I'm going to be finishing this MIDI map feature. Here's the idea. So originally in EON-Arp, we made the notes. You see, we can change in EON-Arp. You can have 8 patterns, right? These patterns are custom, right? I can change stuff, and you can see it show up in the little preview here. And then I can toggle them either with my mouse or with my MIDI keyboard. So I don't know if you can see my hands, but I'm just going to, you see, so by default, you see this is C0, right? And this is D0. By the way, I just noticed a bug. It's possible that these, I've just remapped these notes to something else, but in theory, these should be mapped to C0, D0, E0, and then I can toggle them. They're actually not now C, D, and E, which means I have a bug, but that's probably just because I was working on this mapping code right now. Anyway, many users asked us, let's see, yeah, so many users asked us to make this mappable. So that's why Or designed this window where you can do MIDI learn and stuff. It still shows all zeros, but this will show the actual note names in just a second. So there's a comment here. Eyal, your plugins are amazing, and I need new music. I'm still waiting since Planet Codex theme. Oh, thank you so much. I'm so happy that that people enjoy my music. We need to talk about this. There's some. I need to get. There's some quite a lot of unreleased music that needs to be released. There's a second Project RNL album that was recorded and never released. I don't know. There's music that needs to come out. I need to think of the proper way to have it released. And Or and I are always working on new music. Just to give you an idea, if you look at the the Mindset Drums demos that we recorded. There's a few tracks that we recorded along with Doron Giat, who's also a former Project RNL drummer and did the sample for Mindset Drums. So there's a bunch of tracks there that we recorded that some of them came out as like demos, but they're actually new tracks that Or and I wrote that are like really cool. Some of them are like, they're in like different styles. So we wrote all this, there's like a Motown style track and now we need to release this. There's one track that's like very like King Crimson 70s track. So there's a lot of, actually, even though those are demos, those were done as like actual music tracks that we're writing. So so there's a word here. There's a full RNL album. Oh my God. Bad News Jitterbug was amazing. Yes, if you go on Spotify right now, first of all, there's the first album, first Project RNL album. It's called Internet Releases. Look it up. It's good. Definitely, listen to that full album. These were tracks that were released before the album, most of them. But we have, when the album was released, it was a few years ago, we kind of re-edited them, remastered them. And I think, hopefully people will agree that that album sounds good and kind of represents, the amazing musicians that are in it. We got Jordan Rudess on the album, and we got all these other brilliant players and musicians. So hopefully you would enjoy the full experience if you haven't yet. And there's other additional tracks that are released on my Spotify, on my YouTube, on my different channels. Okay. All right. I'm the problem with this stream is that I'm almost getting distracted by awesome people writing stuff in the chat, but I will try not to be distracted today. We'll see how long I can do that. I'm going to get to work on this MIDI feature. Let's play some AI generated music. I wish I could just play my music here. I think I'll get taken down if I do. It's kind of sad. Okay, so what I'm going to do now is I'm going to basically get this MIDI mapping code correct. Some of it is written, but I'm going to need to finish and finalize different aspects of that. So first of all, the first thing I noticed was the mapping. Oh, you see, this says stuff like D0, E0, but it's actually did not. When I played those keys, it didn't respond correctly. So I'm going to look and see why that happened. Let's begin. So the way this works, and this was just recently revamped, so I'm going to have like a quick recap of what it is that I was doing. So inside of my audio, you can see, by the way, just to give you a clear idea, a lot of our code will be in what we call modules. These are the equivalent of, or they are actually Juice style modules. So each of those is almost like a library. And you'll see that there's going to be usually some stuff for UI, like for example, these are UI libraries. But this one is interesting. This is called state. This is going to come up a lot. Like in state, what we mean is this is stuff that are shared between the audio processing side of the plugin and the UI of the plugin. Like both of them will refer to the state. Like for example, if there's, let's look at let's show this again. If we look at the sequencer of EON-Arp, like the pattern that you're seeing, right, this thing that's on screen, there's some data that represents this structure, right? And the UI needs the data to display, but also the audio engine needs it to play sound. And we had to have this separation because in plugins, for example, you actually are able to just close the UI, like the UI could not exist. And when you do that, all the classes that are UI related are being destroyed. They're released from memory. And the user still wants to have their pattern playing, right? So that's why we need to have this state. It also helps from a coding point of view because the audio class knows nothing about the UI. Like there's no include to the UI. It's all it's just this talks to the state, and also later allows me to do stuff like later we will see that we can open up different UI widgets that talk to the same states, or different processors that will all react to that state and do different things. So it helps us with flexibility on that sense. Okay, so let's go through a top level view of what the processor of EON-Arp does. Like, that's what constantly gets called by the DAW, or the sound card whenever we want to process audio. So it's basically going to be this function. It's called process, right? This is just a high level function, and it clears the buffer, processes MIDI, and depends on a few parameters, would process the synth. There's an internal synth. That's really like the higher level aspect of it. Process MIDI starts to get more into the interesting side of this, because it processes the transport. So that means that it figures out where we are in the timeline, because we want EON-Arp to sync with the timeline of your song. It's not just an internal state thing. And we actually just added an internal sync mode to EON-Arp. I forgot about that, but that's a side topic. But anyway, this will work with syncing EON-Arp to the playback engine, and then this would start do the actual processing. So the first thing it does is that, there you go. So it processes the keyboard. This one's interesting. We're gonna see exactly what this does. Okay, yeah. So this just processes like a state of what notes are pressed. This is less interesting. This is more interesting. This does the real meat of EON-Arp with the actual algorithms that are done in it and stuff like that. So let's see, where am I doing the MIDI mapping? Where am I doing that? Am I doing that here? Forgot. Is this an ARP process? Okay. Where am I calling this thing? It's called MIDI message splitter. Somewhere here, I'm looking at the map. Let's see, where am I looking at it? I think I know where it is. So I think what I'm doing is I am looking in the state. I have something called a MIDI map. Am I debugging now? Let's debug. Attached to process. EON-Arp. Okay, I just hit note, and okay, so this is where I am. So let's go back. Here's my process function called process MIDI processor, splitter. Okay, splitter. Oh, but splitter is actually just a wrapper around the real function. The real function is here it is. So MIDI processor itself has this handle function, learn. That's the one. So it's called MIDI learn. So what it does is that it should be looking at these different assignments. MIDI map. Yeah. So it looked at these assignments, which I probably did incorrectly. That's why I think I'm having these wrong notes in there. Right? Yeah, so I think this is where I screwed up on the notes. So first of all, I want to my first, I guess, objective here would be to make sure that I'm responding to the right notes. I think I'm not sure how I screwed this up, but we will find out now. Yeah, because what I noticed, I think, is that C. Oh yeah, I think I understand what happened here. Get pattern. Yeah, so let's see what happens here. Note number 29. So I want to play. I want to play. If I play C, this says 0, so the first one. Now I'm going to play D, index 1. That makes sense, right? So this should return. Oh, I see what happens here. Okay. So I'm returning the wrong thing. I have the right index, but I'm returning the actual note. So I think I should just return the index, because I don't. That's what it is. So this is the first bug that I have. This is to make sure that stuff like C is mapped to 0, D, in this case, is just default mappings. D is mapped to 1, E is mapped to 2, etc. These are the. So I think this would now work. So I'll play C. This is D. Oh, this is another instance. This is a previous instance of EON-Arp. Let's remove this old instance and reload a fresh one. Okay, so C, D, E, F, G, right? This looks much better, right? So now I can do like stuff like E, C, E, G, E, C, right? These are correct. Let's go through the set. This is A, B, and a high C gives me the 8th octaves, and that's good. So that means now I fixed the default mapping. Let's commit this stuff, because there's some stuff here that I probably need to commit from before. So the first change I made was I took my generic array class and I added I just templated get index off, which was just useful. So templated how do you write this? Templated the get index off method. And let's also, what else did I do there? I added this. Oh, this looks useful. So I added this added note param. This will come in handy pretty soon when I go to the UI section. So added note param generic parameter to display notes along with their note number. I will explain that very soon. And this would be EON-Arp fixed default MIDI map to support the let's call it white keys mapping. So this is more correct. And now what I need to do so what I need to do now is to work on this dynamic mapping, right? Because right now nothing is connected to this. This is just me, hard coding this. And I did this just to be compatible with previous versions of EON-Arp, but now I need to make this better because I don't want this hard-coded scheme anymore. So let's try to have a look at, so now what I did was I call this thing an assignment, right? The assignment is just a wrapper around an int, but I need to make this better. I need to, let me think about this. Yeah, I might not want to make this atomic. It might be better to just have a list that I will use a FIFO to insert, because I think this atomic is kind of like a hack. I probably need to do this in a better way. Let me think. Yeah, so what I'm thinking I'll do is, instead of doing this as an atomic, I would just change this to be a regular int. I will explain pretty soon why this should be a regular int. And this, by the way, should help me use my little thing called note param. node param of style of type of detects a node num, something like that. Oh, it's not node param, it's something like pitch node param of int pitch node param. Yeah. Yeah, and this is for the sake of the UI. Like, that's why this is created, basically. And what I'm going to do, so I use this atomic because this is actually something that is written on the UI thread, but is written on the UI but read on the audio thread. But I don't love the idea of using atomic. I think this it's probably too low level. This I want a solution that would just copy everything into the into this. So let's think of how I'm gonna do this. Yeah. So I think what I'm going to do to connect this MIDI map. What I'm going to do is I need this is just an array. I guess it's fine to make this an array. It's not that bad. Learn manager. Let me think about this. Yeah, the learn thing, that one is interesting because that thing does need to be some sort of atomic, right? Because so that thing needs to be shared because that's something where the UI touches this, but then the processor actually writes back saying what has been learned. But I can fix this. I can use this thing called yeah, because what I want to do is I want to make sure this whole... What's ARP state? Why do I need the ARP state? Oh. That thing can probably be separated to something else, I assume. Right, because all this is just a function for what to do when the MIDI learn gets done so that it can change patterns. I can probably do this in some other way. Yeah, I can probably do this some other way. I don't even need to store this. So what I'm trying to figure out is I want to make this thing copyable. I want to make this whole structure copyable so that it's copied into the audio thread by the UI thread. So the UI makes a change, the whole thing gets copied instead of having some shared state. But I do still need a little bits of shared states from this in this. So the way I would create this is basically to use something kind of like a shared pointer. Because this is like a case of something that I know would be shared, but then this thing, assignments, would just be copied. This would just be a plain copy. Okay, so let's see if we can make this happen. So the idea is that this is actually a pattern that I've used often. I'm gonna call. I think I have this thing called ref counted created. Is that what I'm usually using? Ref counted created. Yeah, I think that's what I'm usually using in most of my plugins. The ref counted is very similar to std shared pointer for people who know what that is. However, the differences between ref counted and shared pointer is that this ref counted is kind of like garbage collected in the sense that it gets deleted on another thread, which is important if I'm going to copy this around. This would make sure that if the processor, for example, would let go of this object, there's not going to be any deallocation of memory in the audio thread. So it's a more specialized version of shared pointer, really. Okay, so that's good. little, because now it's a pointer. Learn or something. Learn, arrow. Okay, so I have to change an arrow. Wait, can I just do this? Is this just gonna work or no? No. Okay, so I need to actually reach out to the underlying object. Okay, so what I need to do now, I think, is so I made this thing kind of copied by basically so that there's only one of those created and kind of shared between copies. This should be copied, I believe. I might need to do this so to make sure that it is. So this will just be copied because this is just a plain array. So there's not going to be any problems here that I know of. And I'm going to remove the need for this. Well, I don't need to remove this. I can just store this for now as a pointer. Because this would be the same thing. And I don't, for all instances, right? So I can just store this as a pointer. And you know what? I can also just do this with this instead of just doing the copy. I can just do the same thing. So just make this a pointer. I think this would be better. Learn equals null PTR. So I will just ask for this from the outside. Learn to use, and I'm going to pass it from wherever it is because I don't really need this, the complicated semantics of this reference counting. I believe like this could just be a plain old. So this will just store the address of this and then learn the address of learn to use, and this should make the whole thing copyable. I might need to do something like map const. I'll just make a default constructor that will create all the needed constructors for me, and this will actually stop this from compiling, which is good. So that stops this from compiling because now this has some requirements. So instead of having this be the media map, I would need to pass in these two objects, ARP state and this thing. Learn, ARP learn. Hello in a Hawaiian style as well. So as I said, I'm here doing updates to the Modalics plugin, EON-Arp. Right now, I'm working to create a MIDI map so that the MIDI assignments are done dynamically by the user and they're not fixed like has been the case in the previous version. Just checking to see that the world has not collapsed while I've been coding here. Okay, world has not collapsed. Good. So what I just did is I made some changes so that this object, can be copied, right? Here's why I did this. I did it so that in the audio side, there's something called MIDI learn, this thing. Okay. Yes. So now I'm taking a reference to MIDI map, but really, what I want to hold a copy of this, and here's how I'm going to do this. So think about it. I need that whenever the user makes changes. Let's think about this. Do I need to hold a reference to this? Let's see the stateful or the way this is held. So I have this thing called the MIDI processor. That thing holds the learn processor. And when I'm processing this, do I do some sort of a FIFO in here? I don't. or at least not in this part. Okay, so I think what I need is an object on top of this MIDI map to handle a couple of things. So I'm gonna have an object here called, with lack of a better name, MIDI map manager. I hate the manager name, but whatever. There's a manager here. Here you go. I'll change to something else. And what this is meant to do is three things. It needs to hold. It doesn't need to hold the ARP state. Actually, that thing is separate, but it does need to hold this. It needs to hold the Learn Manager. It needs to hold MIDI map itself. It can hold a reference to this ARP state. Or I don't know if it needs to hold that. It can just take it. So this can just be a MIDI manager, ARP state, ARP or something. But the real reason for this to exist is not this initialization process, that helps, but this needs to help me manage and notification thing for the processor to know that something has changed, basically. Yeah, I think that's it. So this needs to hold something I call an events broadcaster. Instead of doing that, I have a pattern for this, which is called events has broadcaster. Just simplification, I guess. And then this needs to help. This needs to help the processor, which we will see in a bit. Copy something into the FIFO, which is going to be safe to use inside of the processor. Is this correct, what I'm saying? OnLearn. When is OnLearn created, by the way? OnLearn. Oh, that's not good. I'm actually so maybe I made a mistake, because here it looks like when I'm learning something, I'm actually I might not be able to do this. Yeah, I might not be able to use a FIFO here. That's not good. No, that's not gonna work. No, because I think I need this thing to be stateful, because the processor itself is actually doing the MIDI learn in this case, right? Yeah, it does. So I think I need to revert to my previous thing. So I'm not gonna do what I just did. I'll do something else instead. I will. I think this would still be an atomic int. And then this, yeah, and that means I'm not gonna copy this. I'm gonna make sure that this is actually referenced by the processor. Yeah, I think I'll do that. And that means I can remove this manager thing altogether, right? Yeah, I can just go back to I can just revert this, actually, I think, because yeah, I can just revert what I just did. Let's revert it back. Is this still atomic here? Yeah. Okay, that's good. The parameter, that's easy. Return new pitch. No problem. That's good. Yeah, and if I'm correct, then that means that this is fine to be referenced by the processor. It just deals with atomics and with a fixed array. which I believe should be okay. That would simplify things if I keep working like this. Okay, so if I do that, let's see if I can let's see if I can just connect this to the UI if I'm working with this scheme. That might be simpler. So go to the MIDI map that Or has created here. Map pad row, or is it pop up? Okay, so this thing takes a state. Map preset. Oh, there's presets here. I didn't remember that part. That's interesting. I can make this a preset. Yeah, I can and should make this a preset so that people can save and load their MIDI mapping. That's smart. Clear. Let's wait with clear. Map row. Okay, this is interesting. Okay, so this thing creates a map pad. This is what I need. Okay, so this needs a note. Note clear in there. Okay, so I can actually get the note already. So it should be right, so I do have this thing's called MIDI. Let's be MIDI map. Something like that. This is the map. And this is map assignment 0 get param, something like that. I think this is correct. That means that if I will pass the assignment in here, assignment okay, I can probably okay, I can probably just create these in I can just create this in a for loop. Is that true? Can I just create this in the for loop like this? Padded horizontal. Probably can, right? Probably should be able to do. I've never done this before with our. Yeah, but I should just be able to do something like children pads and then select for. Let's do int pattern equals 0. Smaller than map equals, or I already have the map actually. Map dot assignments dot size. We're just going to take the so let's start with the name equals pattern plus string of the pattern number, and then this would be with the name, and then with the map assignments pattern. So let's do auto assign equals map assignments pattern. So this is the assignments, and it needs a couple of functions which I will pass with nothing just for now. I think they should work. And then map pad itself takes this. Okay, hopefully this will show me. Like so this is just a way to connect the state of the assignments. What did I miss? Oh. Oh. That's a problem. I think this is has to do with this parameter that I created. Because this is going to get cycled value of atomic int or something like that. Maybe this would just find it with an int. Let's see. The problem is I have this generic parameter here. And I basically just tried to have this, and it's a parameter that's created as a reference to another template type. And I think the problem was I was trying to, I just tried to make this parameter work with an atomic int, and this apparently created a problem. Okay, this is actually better. So I probably used the wrong things, right? So number note, clear function, rel function. Okay, so what's wrong? Oh. Okay, see what happens here. This should not be, this should be, yeah, see what happens here. This template works with a pattern comp, right? Oh, I see what happens. The idea is that this should be somehow owned somewhere else. I think that's what happens here. So I'll just do something else. I'll do, what's this thing? Pattern comp. Okay, so Hugo asks, "What's the project about?" So this is us or me updating, in this case, our plugin EON-Arp, which is an arpeggiator. It's already released. Like you can find it on the Modalics website. It's an arpeggiator that lets you do crazy patterns and stuff like that, crazy harmonic and rhythmic patterns. And I'm just adding a MIDI mapping feature for the pattern changes. So notice this does not have an include guard. This is not good. But yeah, you'll probably see in a couple of minutes what this feature is doing. It's we've created or designed Ola Bianiker designed this MIDI mapping window, and I'm here populating the window with actual data about the MIDI mapping that I just created, so that user can edit their MIDI notes. And I'm just here trying to work around some silly syntax that I made. because I think we've used this or used this library object that we have called something that basically creates padding, which is okay, but okay. And what if I'll do this? I might change this. If I make this a component, and this would be create derived visible of pattern comp. I think this would be good. Okay, yeah, this might be the problem that I've ran into. Oh, no, this is actually not true. No. This is not true. I should not be able be allowed to do what I just did. So the idea about this whole class is something that helps create UI objects that have some padding on each side, or from top to bottom or something. And I think, yeah, what I did made no sense. No. Let's not do this. Let's keep. Oh, also there's some looks like there's some duplication here anyway. So let's do this correctly. Let's have a something that says templates type name args void create comp or something. And what this would do is, oh, this actually also would need a type name T, I believe, right? Is that true? No, because this needs to own it. No, this is not true. I need this to, okay, so there's a question. Do you use ChatGPT? Yeah, I'm going to use ChatGPT when I have some syntax, I guess, problems. I'm going to use it. I use Gemini, which is my latest favorite in this genre. But you know, it's not very useful in the context of like a complex code base. But it is useful when I need to learn something about C++ or some library that I don't know. It can provide a lot of useful feedback. So anyway, so this would be the problem with this. I actually see a problem. This is called pattern. Yeah. So I think the problem with this, the way I've currently structured this, is that this expects the ownership of the component to be done externally. I don't like this so much because I wanted to create these objects yeah, I think I'll oh, you know what, I can just do yeah, I need some other way to pad this so it looks correct. I think I have another way to do this kind of padding. Let's see if I can do this in this way. So that means I can just go to my row and use instead of the resizers, I'll use a component list of a padded component. Is that what it is? Yeah, I think that should be it. Yeah, padded component of map pad. That's what this is. I should only take this. Then when I create this, I should do create visible, and I should first pass the I should first pass Yeah, so I think I should just be able to do 0, 90 F. Right? Wrong? No, I'll just create visible. Okay, now I think this is good. So this is a way to create this pattern object that's owned by the container. Oh, and this do also instead of pads, I need to do pads resize horizontally. So this should make it look correct, I hope. No? This should create padded comp with the arguments. Oh, but so it's not padded comp, it's something else. It's or maybe it is. Oh, so I think it's separately with X and Y. Not sure why I did that, but I can probably do it like this with this. Okay, that's good. Let me just need these. Hello, Karnath Perui. Hello. Nice to see you here. Okay, we are back. So this is our plugin. And let's see, did I get these things? Okay, so this does not yet display fully correct. This should show. Oh, what just happened here? Oh, I clicked this and it didn't work. Okay, this is what I need. I need this to show the actual parameter. So let's see why is this not showing. But I think I got the creation of this object correct. Now let's take a look at the pad itself. Note, so I'm initializing pad slider with a parameter. The question is which language you are using. I am using C++. Yeah, so this is C++ with our libraries and stuff like that for Modalics, but yes. So this takes, okay, that's fine. Note takes the parameter, slider shows the, right, because this should show the value itself, right? Is that what this, yeah, BPM slider. That should work. That should show me the correct thing. See exactly what fails here. Okay, so this does get created. It takes value 24 or something. Yeah, it looks like this should show the correct text. Maybe. Oh. Maybe the problem is the slider, this particular slider. So this slider. Hello to you, SR. Thank you for joining our stream of making EON-Arp a little bit better. The problem I'm seeing here, I think, is this problem the problem that I'm using? You know what? I'm just going to put some labels param value here. Hope you people are all doing well today. I'm doing pretty well. Even though my coffee just ended, I need to refill my coffee cup. Other than that, I'm doing pretty good. It's, I started streaming today at like 8 a.m. Making EON-Arp better. Okay, that's good. So this shows the notes. This is really what I wanted. Okay, so now I click map. And this shows the actual names of notes that are assigned here, right? This is really where I was going for. None of these, oh, this also says 0, 1. This is not good. We probably should make this 1 based so that instead of showing map pad row, so instead of showing pattern, should do pattern plus 1 because, oh, I should probably do string with pattern plus 1. Yeah, and I think this is better because for the user, this will be nicer. So, look at this. Damn, such good looking UI. Oh, thank you. This is all on Or Lubianiker. He designed this, encoded most of the UI as well. Yeah, this plugin, by the way, EON-Arp, is already out. Like, you can get it. There's a free trial. It's really cool. And we're going to go over a lot of what this already does, but it's not new. It can let you, draw your own patterns and write polyrhythms and go into individual notes in your ARP and make them, shorter. I can multi-select this, make this shorter. Make this shorter and move this off time if I want to. I can change velocity of specific notes or of chunks of notes, which is really useful if you have some velocity sensitive synth or a piano or something. It's really cool. It's a very, very cool plugin. I want to say that it's one of the better arpeggiators that exist, that lets you really go wild with patterns. Caleb says you are making music maker software. Yes, I am the maker of music software. Hopefully, this is what I'm doing. Yes, and this is EON-Arp. It's already out. You can go and get it right now. It's on our website. This is about a big update, a free update that's gonna come out to all users of EON-Arp. Hopefully, maybe today, maybe tomorrow, once this is finished. It has a few new features that we added. One of them is you don't see it here, but one of them is internal sync, so that you, instead of singing to the DAW, you can kind of create your own tempo and just do this in a DAW and kind of be detached from the clock of the DAW. The other is tune for the synth. The other is this mapping, new MIDI mapping modes that we're working on now. There's these are not functional yet, but they will be pretty soon. There's these different trigger modes for the chords. So there's gonna be some new cool features. There's some other graphical updates that Or has added, like hover and this beautiful ARP button as well, that connects to our new live MIDI bypass feature. So cool stuff. I think this is a cool plugin. Yeah, so this is EON-Arp. I'm gonna once this thing is finished, hopefully I'm going to make some music with it on the stream, so that'll be fun. SR says I'm gonna check it out. I don't think I've tried any of your plugins yet, but they seem cool. Thank you. And we have free trials for all of them. So if you go to, just go to the website. I'm just going to type it out here. Modalics.com. You can just find our stuff, get any of the trials, and try it, see if it's fun for you. Hopefully this brings some some added depth and value to your music making life. Kalib, I hope I'm pronouncing your name correctly. Sorry about this. So Kalib, good job. I have a question on programming. Yes, absolutely. Feel free to post questions on the chat. As you can see, I'm streaming this on multiple networks. Like this is on, Twitter, Facebook, YouTube, Twitch, LinkedIn. So you can see it anywhere and just comment, and I'm going to be putting it on screen and trying to answer as best as I can. I'm very happy to engage in some programming chat as well if somebody has questions. Okay, I'm gonna ask the espresso machine to make me some more coffee. Usually I would have to go to the kitchen for this, but where I am now in LA, which is not my house or studio, there's literally an espresso machine right here where I'm streaming, so this is very convenient. I would definitely recommend if you're not scared to overdose from coffee. It makes beautiful noise as well that you might hear. Okay. So what now that I had this working, I think that I would need to yes, I think or use this thing called the pad slider. Convenient and dangerous. Yes, it's pretty dangerous. This is not my house. I'm a guest here, so this is like the little unit where I'm staying, where the kitchen and the computer are all pretty much in the same space. I'm not saying that I recommend this as a lifestyle, but this is where I am, and you live with what you get. You can see usually I would have my green screen around. None of this exists here, so this is my guerrilla streaming setup. Good. These are little things that you only appreciate once you can do. Like when I used to work in an office, one of the things I could never do, or I don't know, maybe I could, but I don't think people would look at it nicely, is the fact that now I can stream barefoot. I like that so much. I could just be barefoot and do my stream. Yeah, like little quality of life things that I have. Okay, so what I wanted to do, what happened, or wanted me to use this thing called the pad slider. And I think the problem with the pad slider is that it assumed that there's numbers on this display. And let's see, BPM slider. Here it is. Okay, this expects integers on the number. I might need something else because I don't want to change this. This is a library object we're using for different things, specifically for BPM. But I might need to kind of recompose this. Okay, so this is just something that connects this background, right? The background image that OR has created along with this slider. So I should be able to just compose this with a different kind of slider. Okay, so there's a couple of things here that I can probably reuse. So let's have a look. What's this pad slider? Yeah, this is used all over the place. I don't wanna touch this because this I think this is correct, but I would just add another object here, calling it like a note slider or something. So widgets, knobs. Note slider. There's a question here. Now let me switch to this while I'm looking at this. So the question is, now I'm trying to learn JavaScript, and I'm a beginner. Which type of self-learning is useful? Can you suggest something? Okay. So you're learning JavaScript, and you wanna be learning. You wanna educate yourself. I would suggest two things to start with. I mean, first of all, there's so many tutorials, especially on JavaScript. So I think if you just YouTube, how to do blah 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 on JavaScript, you're gonna find good walkthroughs. Those did not exist in the past years, but those exist now. I think the main thing you want to be doing is have a good development setup. Like if you're doing front end or back end, like usually those would be a bit different. Like if you're doing front end, you'll usually use some framework like React, so use that. If you're using back end, people use Node.js or something. So the main thing to do is to have control over your development environment. So I would see if you can do the best you can to get a good environment that does something minimal, like a web page or something in React, and then start to do round trips that have short development cycles. Like don't start with making like the most complicated website. Start with connecting two buttons to an action, or people do like stuff like a to-do list, like that's stuff like that. Like I would do very, very simple projects that you can iterate on and get better in each cycle, and that will also help you because then you will have these self-contained projects where you can use ChatGPT or some chatbot to like do back and forth with. Like nowadays you can take your code, paste it into the chat. They're gonna give you some tips on it, and so I would select projects that will let you do incremental improvements, right? Don't do a complicated app. Do things that lets you gain control over everything in the process. Like, you want to learn how functions work or how stuff in the framework work. So if you're using React, maybe you want to use some state management tool or something like Redux. So you'll slowly learn these new tools, and you want to make it so that you will be iterating over each new element fast, right? So if you do something complicated, that means you're going to get stuck a lot. So don't do that. It's like always simplify, always work from a place where you can, just scrap the whole project and start from scratch. And do these things that give you like feedback, right? Like put something on screen. If it's a UI app, put something on screen, change it somehow, like change the mouse handling or change the images or change the CSS style, like change something, see that it works, change the next thing, and make sure you understand every single line of code that's on screen. So even if you got some code from a tutorial or from ChatGPT, make sure you know what it means if you change any of these lines, right? Like because if it's just code that you copy pasted, then you don't understand it. But if you change some functions around and you saw the things move on screen, or you saw the code break and you understood why it breaks, that's going to lead you to the next level of control. Yeah, hopefully that was good. I'm not an expert on JavaScript, but I do program in JavaScript a little bit, and I find the content that's on the internet really useful, really useful for JavaScript specifically. Okay. Where was I? Okay, so what I was going to do, I decided that this library object that Or created for other things, we had this thing called the pad slider. It did not work so well for this use case, so I'm literally going to do something really boring. I'm going to copy paste this code. You'll see that this code does almost nothing. Node slider. It's just like something that this code basically just positions a few things on screen, so just a few lines of code. So that's why I don't mind copy pasting it, because there's no behavior here. All the behavior already happens in the library. So, and then instead of using the BPM slider, maybe I'll put some other slider. Yeah, because this slider already connects an image and some styles. Yeah, so there's a question here. Maybe this is bad advice, but if you can, I would also recommend a simple project that will help you with a life goal. That way you are already invested, even in a small way. Yes, I love this advice. Let me put this on screen here. I love this advice from SR. Yeah, I love this. I like the idea that when you do something, you pick something that you're gonna be the user of your project. Like it's, like let's say you put some code, but it's for your website, not for some generic website. Like it's, it's your personal website, or maybe you write some automation of something that you do in your own life, like you automate something that deals with your calendar, or something that deals with your computer operations. So that, yeah, I like that a lot. I like this advice a lot, SR. I think that this is something that has helped me a lot. Like when you know that you're gonna need the results, it makes you want to do it good. Makes you want to, make it bug free and actually research until it's complete. And yeah, I like this. I like this advice. Okay. So I'm trying to think, what am I going to do with this slider? One way is I can also just, I guess, inherit from this and just change a couple of things here. Yeah, I can do this. So node slider, because node slider already takes in stuff like the background, but this is the meat of the object. So let's do something like I don't know, internal node slider inherits from BPM slider. I'll just do it quickly because Or might actually redo this thing when he sees the horribleness that I'm just about to do. I just want to make sure that it's controllable, that you can change the node and stuff. So I'm not going to go too deep into the UI of this object. I just do something basic. Yeah, so this takes const parameters connector param. And that would mean Yeah, most of what this class does has to do with these initialization functions. And I want to change these because hello Swartax. Yeah, so I want to create something like this that does not require or is not limited to the numbers, because I want something that works with the note names specifically. So I just need to remove these restrictions, really. Text function, yeah, and I also don't need this text function, right? Yeah, so I can probably just create my own value thing. I don't think I needed much more than this, right? What's this connector? Update param connector. Oh, I know what this does. Okay. Yeah, I think I'll just do something else. So I'm not going to inherit from BPM slider. I'm just going to make this widget. Let's take a look at what happens in the BPM here. I'll just grab. You know what I'm do? I might separate this out. So instead of doing, I might create another label here. I think this will be useful. So what I will do is I will make this something called BPM label. Yeah, I think it's gonna be good. So class BPM label. Label inherits from this. Yeah, this will help. This will make it more composable, I think. So it's got the add mouse listener. Oh, do I still need? Oh, right. I realized why I need this thing. Okay. So I'm just gonna take. It just has a font. Right, some font that it uses. That's really all it is. Font and the color. So boring. So BPM label takes the const parameters connector. Param. Initialize the base class. And then just do these. Is that it? Is that all that I'm doing here that's important other than the text? Text stuff. Yeah, I think that's it. So I can just remove this and have this thing be the BPM label. Have a good day, Khalib. Right, and these would just be special things that I'm doing with the text function. But then I just copied the design so I can look at this, and I probably should make this a label. module toolbox. Okay, so let's read. There's a good question here from myself. My programming question today has to do with getting into writing plugins. I want to replace my super old Mac for this, and I'm very tempted to go with building my own PC with Windows Linux. Is this a bad move for audio development? Seemed doable, but possibly more of a headache. I don't know. I don't think there's a problem with working with Linux or Windows for development. I think it's great. I do not so much lately, but I've spent a lot of my plugin development mostly working on Windows. I like Windows as a development environment. Recently, I'm more into Macs for development. I don't know why I got used to it, but I don't know. Windows is awesome, so there's no problem with that. I love Visual Studio, for example. I think it's a great IDE. The only problem on the Mac side is that when you want to compile to a Mac, you need to have a Mac. But you don't need like that Mac to be like your development machine. It could be like second-hand used Mac from a few years ago. Just to compile, so that's also okay. Or some people will get like a cloud machine. You can get a cloud machine and compile like on GitHub Actions or something. So yeah, I don't think it's a problem. I don't think any of this is specifically problematic. I think that you want to work in an environment that you feel comfortable in. Windows I think is fantastic. Linux is also great, but I think Linux presents more problems in the sense that you can use an IDE, like stuff like CLion works on Linux, but there's some tools that are a bit wonky, like on the IDE side. So it's more of like a jungle where you kind of have to customize things to work with your setup on Linux. But Windows, I find Windows to be a great development setup if you like, the way it feels and behaves in general. I guess my main concerns are more drivers and latency and settings. Yeah, those are definitely better on the Mac side. Like that's not a development thing, just an audio thing. Mac core audio, in my opinion, is superior to what's on Windows. But it doesn't mean you can't work around it. Like if you get a sound card, you're using an ASIO driver, and those are good. Where Mac comes through in a nice way, I think, you know, Mac has this thing called MIDI and audio, not audio, sorry, it says MIDI IAC, like a internal loop, like built in Windows. You have to install stuff for this to happen. Yeah. I feel like Windows drivers work a little. Mac drivers are a little nicer when you open a bunch of DAWs at the same time. Like if you do that, sometimes Windows will present a few issues, and Mac can handle this stuff like easy. Like you just open Ableton Live and Logic and your plugin. Like Mac is nice in this, but you know, those things are not so major, right? Those are not like important things. You can find Windows programs that will do something similar, and it generally works. I mean, it's not like if you're on Windows you cannot do any of this stuff. So I don't find this to be a big problem. Like I said, I really enjoy developing on Windows, especially because of things like Visual Studio, the full Visual Studio, not Visual Studio Code. I think Visual Studio is a great program with a bunch of really useful tools. Visual Studio has an amazing debugger, and it has an amazing profiler. Like it's a really good tool set. So I don't think it's a major problem if you want to go that route. Okay, so this should be labels BPM. Oh, that's weird. Why is this including those stuff? That makes no sense. Oh, this is GUI labels. This is GUI. Sorry. Yeah, so I just refactored that little bit out, and then oh, that's interesting. Param changed. What is this function? How does this get called? Is this what this does? This calls param changed? Can you feel like this is a function that never gets called? Right? I don't think I'm connecting this to anywhere. Yeah. This does nothing. I have no, right? This not override to anything. Yeah, so as somebody with a super old computer, I love VS Code. Never used a full-blown Visual Studio. Yeah, I think I'm also a big fan of VS Code. Just to give you, just to make this not out of context, like VS Code is one of my favorite programs. I use it all the time. But on the Mac side, the full, what they call a full Visual Studio is just crap. It's not a good thing. But on Windows, the full Visual Studio is an amazing IDE. I mean, it's not a replacement for VS Code. It's just like this huge program that does so much and has these, you know, code analysis capabilities and debuggers and profilers. Like, it's a big piece of program. So I would definitely recommend checking out Visual Studio, especially for C++. Like, I think it's you know, if you're on Windows, it's just such a great environment to work in. And also, just as a side note, in the past, if you used Visual Studio, you had to use the Visual Studio compiler. It's called MSVC, like the Microsoft something compiler. But now you can use Visual Studio with Clang, which is the same compiler basically as on Mac and on Linux, and it's it's a much better compiler. And now if you use Visual Studio, it comes installed. You can kind of select it in the installation, and then you can use that. So that thing is really nice, and just gives you better performance and better compile times and just a way better experience. if you can use Clang. Also, that means that you have a similar experience on Linux, Windows, and Mac. Like you don't need to kind of work with the weirdness of the Microsoft compiler. Hello, Eyal Amir, that is my name. Or Eyal Ami4, that's also my name, I guess. So for those who are just joining, as I said, I'm working on updating our plugin EON-Arp. What I'm literally doing just in this piece of code is I'm just fixing something so that I can create a new label for the MIDI mapping. So what I did was yeah, that's interesting. Okay. Yeah, so I'm just gonna have this labels BPM. What else do I need in this thing? I think I can just do add children. BPM value slider. And I think the other thing I needed was to do this thing where I can connect the double click into the label. I think that was the. So how do you go about making sure you don't accidentally delete something crucial when revisiting your old code like this? Yeah, so first of all, I want to show this question. This is a good question. So how do I make sure that I don't accidentally delete something crucial? First of all, I could definitely delete something crucial. Like that could happen, right? But the way I work around this is I'm using source control. I'm using Git. So and you'll see me do that occasionally on the stream. So when I go to this window, this shows me everything that I'm changing, right? And I'm actually going to review this after I'm done. And so this is say, hey, in this file, these are the changes that I'm doing right now. Like I added this, I removed this. So I have some idea, or usually a pretty good idea, on what it is that I changed. Like here, if I go to the toolbox, this is our library, I can see that I only worked on the labels, sliders, and I can see that some of these changes were pretty minor. I removed the function that doesn't get used, stuff like that, right? And I can always revert to, if I made a mistake, I can always go back. Like I see a log here. This shows me a log of, changes that I've done, right? Some of them are small, but some of them are large. And I can see like history and see when I did something. So there's, I have this mechanism to save me from mistakes that could happen, right? So it's sometimes I will go back and kind of look at my changes or search for changes in a specific file until I find, the thing that went wrong. So it's not so, it's not like I'm just saving stuff on my drive. I have like a list of organized changes. Okay, there's another question here from MD. Can we make professional plugins like FabFilter by using the Juice framework? Yes, and that is exactly what I'm doing now. So I'm working on our plugin that's commercially released. It's called EON-Arp. It is made with the Juice framework. Yeah, I don't see why not. Some of these companies like FabFilter, Waves, those existed, before Juice existed, or maybe before Juice became like widely spread. But if you're making a plugin now, you should use a framework like Juice to simplify things, and we're using that. It works well for us, and yeah, you should be using that. Okay. The one other thing I wanted to take from this, what I call BPM slider, Yeah, this thing, mouse double click. I think I'm gonna need that because yeah. So I think what this does is that's really what that class was really doing in terms of like functionality. So I think so there's two things here: the slider and the label. And I think I should add mouse listener. BPM slider this. Is that true? Oh, this. Sorry, BPM slider. Add mouse listener this. And then on double click, do I need to inherit from mouse listener? Is that the problem? Anyway, then on my click, what I should be doing is go to the value, and let's call this slider label. And I think the idea is that when we have a double click, the label should show its editor. So that it's editable. But then what's wrong here? Oh, what's it for all nested child components? Sure. Okay. So this is the internal node slider. Hopefully this is okay. And I want to use this node slider. Let's go back to the actual UI layouts of EON-Arp. And I will do this node slider. Let's see if this works. This ideally should allow me to both. Oh, I think there's also. Oh, that's fine. There's also like a background in there. That's fine. Background and the stroke and other stuff that were added for the previous slider. So I'm gonna just reuse those. Build failed. Let's see why. Oh, redefinition, because this should be called node slider and not pad slider. Oh, and I think now this is okay. What's wrong here? Oh, node slider, pad slider. Okay. Okay. Map. Ooh. Okay, why isn't it showing to me the names? Maybe I did something incorrect. Add slider, okay. Add children, label slider. Oh, because I didn't give it any bounds. Nice. So resized, scale to fit, label slider. Okay, and here are my node names. Can I change this? I can change this. Look at this. Look at these beautiful node names. Let's see if I can double click this and say something like E4. Yay, look at this beautiful mapping window. I'm not sure if it works, by the way, but we're going to check pretty soon if this works. E0. Okay, let's see. Let's see if this works. C worked. Yes. Now I press D and D was removed. Let's put D1 in here. D1. Okay, D. You see C? I'm pressing C. You don't see my fingers, but I'm pressing like a little MIDI keyboard. So I'm pressing C, pressing D. It switched to another pattern, right? Now I'll change D to be, I don't know, F4 or something, some other notes. Now C is changing it, and D goes through. This worked. Woohoo! Okay, it's not perfect, but I think it's a good break point where something did work in my mapping. Let's start to commit some stuff because I've changed a bunch of stuff. So I'll start with my library. Yeah. So all I did here really is basically I just changed these sliders. What's this? Oh, okay. So this was a separate thing. So this would be parameters made int ref. Oh, sorry. This just made int parameter cycling work with other int like types. This changed. The other change pattern. Oh, this was just like a pattern. Added missing include guard. That was a really boring change. This is where I changed the. I just extracted the BPM label out of BPM slider so that I can reuse it. And here, what I did was EON-Arp. Created new node slider and connected each row of mappings into it. That's really what I did. Okay. Now let's fix a few things. Yeah, so let's fix a few of these things so that the rest of the functionality would work. First thing I'm going to do, I'm going to make the map pop up itself. Do set intercepts mouse clicks true, and I do that because before that any click outside of these sliders would just close it because it was not being intercepted. So I want to make sure that it is intercepted. There's another minor bug that I noticed, which I will solve right now. So open the map. Now I should be able to click things here without the window closing, and clicking here should close it. Good. Now if I click map again, this should not open. This is a bug. Yes, I had to click twice. That makes sense. And I need to click twice because I need the map itself, when it closes, to do something like states.ui.map.equals false. I need to let it know that it's that it's not closed, that it's not open anymore, so that it will reopen. Map, I close it, and then yay, I didn't have to close it twice. Okay, that's good. So let's have the simple commit of these two bugs I just fixed. So EON-Arp, so made map pop up, not require 2 clicks to open, and fixed mouse handling. Okay, so this was a simple bug. I'm feeling accomplished. All right, this would be a good time to take a break, and I might start another stream pretty soon. Hopefully getting this to more of a finished state. Yeah, so thank you all for watching. I've been doing this for a couple of hours now, and we'll probably be doing more. Yeah, thank you everyone, and have a good day.